As cliche as this sounds, don't give up. Like, keep going. You're doing it for a reason. Never lose sight of that. If you have to plaster it on your wall of why you joined, why you're getting up every day, do it. But don't give up. Things are going to get hard. Things are going to suck, and you're just going to have to embrace it. You're going to sleep on the ground, and it's going to be pouring rain, and you're going to be wet, and it's going to be not great. But then you're going to meet the best people in your life, and you're going to experience the best things in your life, and you're going to do things you never thought that you could do, and you're going to prove to yourself that you are this strong, I don't know if I can cuss, badass person. Sorry.
That's fine, you can.
Just never give up on yourself, on your people, and on your surroundings.
Welcome to Transition and Triumphs, where every journey is a story of growth, resilience, and new beginnings. So today's my first podcast, and we're here with First Lieutenant Smith. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So tell us a little bit about yourself, what is it that you want us to know?
So I'm originally from Los Angeles, California, and
Woo!
yeah, my journey into the Army started when I went to West Point. I ran track there, graduated, and now I'm an EOD officer, and I've been doing that for about a year and a half now.
Oh, that's nice. What inspired you to join the military and how did your journey begin?
So I feel like mine's a little unorthodox just because no one ever thought I would be in the military or be able to be in a structured environment like that. So I really think that I did it just because people said that I couldn't. And
Yes.
and I love that. I'm motivated by that. I'm very achievement driven. And I think that it gave me that ability to grow in myself and also reach for whatever I could reach for and do something completely out of my comfort zone. And so that's what motivated me to go to West Point. And then I feel like once I got there, I understood the deeper purpose of like my journey and that I was going to be in the military and I was going to be in the Army. I was going to be an officer and what that really meant to me and just trying to open up the world to people that look like you and me. Like I hate to say stuff like that, but I didn't see a lot of first female and then Black female officers doing the things that I was doing. And so it was really fun, one, to connect with other female officers or people from West Point trying to be officers. And then just, I don't know, like finding that community was just really good for me or felt good.
I love that because your journey is a little bit similar to mine. I'm such a girl's girl, like I'm such a girly girl, and like it's so funny because my uncle was in the military for 20 years, and I always like I don't think I'm gonna do it. I don't think I'm gonna do it. And then just one day I got was like, yeah, I'm just do it. And then when I didn't tell anybody, I didn't tell none of my friends, I didn't tell like a handful of my family members knew. And when I graduated, my best friend, like from the sixth grade, he saw it on Instagram, and I think somebody told him, and he was like, "No way, she would survive." And when he saw it, he was like, "I can't believe you did that! Like you actually did that!" And that's what motivated me to like go because I was just like, I hate the mud, I hate running up and down. And I was like, but it gave me joy to know that I was accomplishing something that one myself thought I could never do. And then also to know that, probably people thought that I couldn't do it as well gave me that drive. So can you share a defining moment from your early military career that shaped who you are today?
Whew, that is a tough one. I think my biggest or very let me think about that actually. Let me just put that in the right words. I think a defining moment for me, just because I am so early on in my career in the military, so I have to kind of divert back to my time at the academy. was when I tore my ACL my
Oh,
freshman year. Yeah. So it was a pretty big injury. Um,
yes.
so it was really hard because at that point in time, I knew going in that people were going to look at me differently because I was a girl. And then I hurt myself during training. So it seemed like I was trying to get out of it. Or that was like the first, just off the rip, what people thought when, they saw me just kind of hobbling along, not being able to contribute as much as I should have been able to. So I think right then and there, I knew like I never want to feel this again. I never want people to question if I am hurt, if I am sick, if I am giving 100%, if I am giving 150%. I never wanted anyone to be able to question me and make me feel so little,
Mhm.
if that makes sense.
That
So I
makes absolute sense. Like, I think because we're female sometimes, I feel like, like we already have a, black cloud over our heads when it comes to physical activity. There's already a bar that we set for ourselves that we want to live up to, and then the bar is like all the way up here, and then, because it's such a male dominated industry, is like the bar for us is set down here, and we always want to exceed the bar. Like, and I think that's, so challenging sometimes because our bodies are made sometimes differently than the males. And it's like we want to go after it. We want to be like, yeah, I can hang, I'm down and stuff like that. And I totally understand what you're talking about because when I went to basic training, I did not go to sick call at all. I did not. I was not there. I was like, I don't want them to take that, and I have really bad knees. Really, really, really bad knees. Like, I have such strong injuries in my knees right now. It is absolutely insane. And I love to hear that you didn't like make it like get you down. I love to hear that, you kept pushing because especially, with the persona of that females, don't want to be in the field. They don't want to, go put in the work for it. It's already hard to just motivate yourself and have others putting you down. Just going back to your time in the academy, cadet basic training, what was the most challenging part beside of your ACL tearing? Like, what was the challenging part for you there?
I think just the transition into kind of fully giving yourself up to a bigger purpose, full like being stripped of your phones, being, stripped of your identity, and then slowly gaining that back with all the confidence of the different things. I, my first day in the field, they're like, we're sleeping on the ground. I was like, okay, we're sleeping on the ground. I had no idea what I was getting myself into, but I just wanted to keep going every second, every day. I wanted to keep getting better. So it just the transition, I would say for me personally, was my hardest thing.
I'm not gonna lie, the outside door activities when I started basic training, I was just like, oh, okay. No, like smooth transition. And it's like now when you're actually like in the actual military, you feel like you're living a luxurious life because we didn't have no tents. It was full bugs and spiders. It was like, yeah, you getting down and dirty.
Yeah.
So that kind of leads me into my next question. Like, how did your experience at basic training prepare you for the rest of your time at West Point and your military career?
I think what it did is it formed bonds between me and my friends that I will have forever. And so I think that those friendships and like embracing the suck and like going through all the things that we went through together, although not like the hardest thing that we've experienced in our military careers, it was like the first thing we did together.
Mhm.
And we were able to lift each other up when we needed help and be there for each other. So that definitely
I
friendships.
love military friendships. But it's like sometimes it's so bittersweet because it's like, you get to go into different duty stations and you're like, no, I want to have you forever. Like, I have two military friendships that I'm just like, can't you just be here with me throughout my whole military career? Like,
Yeah.
I just want to have you as my ride or die buddy going through this life together.
Yeah.
Um, With West Point, I think that's just such a topic that I want to touch on because, a lot of people don't when they first come into the military, they don't really know a lot about West Point. What inspired you to apply to West Point, and what was your most challenging part of the application process?
So I was originally recruited to recruited to run track. So that was definitely a big motivator to get me to the campus. And I went on an official visit. And when I saw the campus, I just kind of knew. Like I don't know. It's kind of like, falling in love. Like you can't really describe that feeling, but you just know, okay, I'm supposed to be here. I'm supposed to walk these halls. I'm supposed to join the long gray line. That just kind of happened for me. It was a click. And I had toured other college campuses and I never felt that. So I knew for sure that was going to be where I wanted to go. The most challenging part of the application process was first just starting. It's a very daunting process. It's very long. It's very intensive. Sorry, my dog's playing with her
No,
bone.
it's okay. I can even hear it.
um, but I was disqualified. So I got the flu, and I think I was prescribed some medication that DOBMERB or the DoD didn't like. So I really had to fight medically to get a medical waiver. So I think that was the hardest part for me personally. But yeah, the whole process is very long. It's in two parts. You have to finish one part and then you get your appointment to go. And then you have a whole nother set of things you need to do, doctor's visits, checkups, sending in all of your like dental records and all that stuff. So if I was to give my recommendation for anyone that wants to go and wants to apply is start early and give yourself ample enough time to do the application process.
So, because I'm enlisted, I have to ask, did you ever think about going the enlisted route?
I think I did a little bit when I went and we have during summers, we have units that'll come and train us. And I you hear like, okay, West Point officers, like they're not the best and they have bad attitudes and stuff like that. So it's like, ooh, well, I don't want to be, wrapped into that. Like I don't have a bad attitude, I promise. Um, so I definitely thought, and like I felt like with the enlisted people, I could talk to them more. And they were like easier to talk to. They would give me like very straightforward answers like, hey, this maybe isn't the best about the army, but this is the best. Like they gave me the pros and cons. I felt like officers were kind of like trying to sell you on it, like, oh, this is gonna be great, this is gonna be worth it. And I just kind of wanted to know the whole holistic picture of what I was getting into.
Mhm. Did you have a recruiter that helped you along the process, or did you do the process by yourself?
I did because I was an athlete, I kind of did the process all by myself. I obviously had the coaches that were trying to recruit me, but for the most part, it was by myself.
And what lessons from your time at West Point have you had the most impact on your military career?
I think time management
Mhm.
and understanding when enough is enough in anything. So, when enough rest is enough, when enough working out is enough, when being at work super late, like when enough is enough. And then also that time management piece, being able to manage your time, because there's so many things that you want to do. You want to experience the new places that you're moving. You want to be great at the job that you do. You want to hang out with your friends, but then you also want to work out and stay in shape. So just time management and understanding the little ball, like the balls that you can allow to drop and the balls that you can't allow to drop and stuff like that. I think the academy as a whole has helped me on, and I will keep doing that throughout my career.
Let's talk more about that because I know, like, for a little bit, I went to college 2 years before I went into the military. And honestly, just doing college work and all of that was challenging enough for me, especially because I'm like, okay, I have to go to work, I have to like get good grades, and I want to hang out with my friends. I want to have a little social life. How did you balance that? Because that seems like that's a whole job within itself. Like, going to the academy, balancing your social life, being a track star, doing the cadet training. Like, how did you like grasp all of that, tick all those boxes?
I think through a lot of trial and error. I think at first, when I first was there, my plebe year, my freshman year, I was all about school. I was all about track. I just wanted to do as well as I could. And I don't think I was checking in with myself to see if I was actually happy. I was filling my cups like with my friends, taking the extra 15 minutes and sitting down and eating food with my friends and talking about stuff that wasn't really academy related, grades related, track related. So I think that through a lot of trial and error and understanding, okay, I'm going to burn myself out if I just focus on these two things that are very, very important. Um, I need to add in that extra element of just humans, like humanity, being with my friends, taking a break, going on a walk, maybe not doing the super hard workout that I had planned and just running for a little bit to clear my head has definitely, so I would just say trial and error. It wasn't just like one thing that worked for me. It was definitely like experiencing different things and going from there.
Can you walk us through your journey about like how you became like First Lieutenant Smith from like graduating at West Point, coming to into the military, into the army as a brand new officer, being someone who soldiers rely on and everything like that. Walk us through that a little bit.
So I graduated 2023, class of 2023, and I graduated an EOD officer. EOD is a little bit different, like the pathway to being a certified EOD tech. So I had to go to Bullock. I had to go to basic officer leadership course, logistics. So I did ordnance, logistics, officer course. And then I went to EOD phase one in Fort Gregg Adams, Virginia. And then I did EOD phase two in Eglin, Florida, Eglin Air Force Base, Florida. So phase one was 7 weeks, and then phase two was 7 months. So it was a year pretty much of training with two moves in there, getting settled in, and then, getting out and getting to my first unit now. Um, so I think it's been a long journey. There has always been a light at the end of the tunnel. It's kind of great now because I don't have a light at the end of the tunnel. I can kind of settle in and get into doing my job and understanding the ins and outs of being a lieutenant in the military and being there for my soldiers and creating these bonds and different things like that. But definitely from graduation to now, it's just been a lot of school, a lot of training and different things like that.
That's wonderful. I love that. I think a lot of times when I first like got into the military, like my first like company, I was very like scared to like talk to like the officers and I was just like, well, and my job because I'm a 42 Alpha, I'm human resources, I work really close with higher leadership. So when I got there and I saw all these big ranks, I'm like, oh, what job did I choose? I just wanted to be low key for my first like 3 months. I knew now I kind of settled in and it's kind of like you have that respect for the higher ranking, but you also know that they're people too. They're easy to talk to and everything like that. I've seen like my officer get promoted from second lieutenant to first lieutenant. We're just here cheering him on, like, go, sir, go, sir. And it's just so amazing to see how like, the different officers go from their different ranks and how they gain more responsibility and how they lead their soldiers. I've had some leadership that they've now gotten their platoons now too, and it's just like they're so excited. Um, so I have to ask because it's such a question that a lot of people have, especially as females coming into army. What challenges have you faced as a woman in a male-dominated industry, and how have you overcome them?
I think it's a lot of misperception of things. Uh, People have the perception of women that because we're doing something, it's easier. Because we've accomplished something, it's easier. So I think I have really tried to use my voice and my TikTok and my platform to show that it's not easier. I was never given something easier because I'm a woman. I was never like standards didn't change because I'm a woman. I, showed up every day, just like my male counterparts. Like it was just as hard for both of us or all of us to achieve the things that we wanted to achieve. So I think for me, I had to take take a different stab at meeting new people, meeting my unit, meeting different teachers, meeting different, classmates during EOD. Like, I think just taking that misconception out of my head, thinking like, oh, they think that I got here because I'm a woman, or I did so good on that test because I'm a woman, or I got my badge because I'm a woman. Like, no, I need to take that away because it is self-deprecating. And then hopefully from that, I can show them, you know, inners working out like that. It's not a thing, but definitely, comments are always going to be made. Maybe not directly to your face, but I mean, I've opened myself up with a platform on TikTok. Like there are always comments. Oh, POD's so easy now. Like there's more women. Like West Point must have been like a breeze now because there's such a big like female population. So it will always be there. It will always be there. There are people that are still alive today that were in the military and there were no women. So you can't I feel like I can't fault them on that. They lived in a time when things happened and things worked without women. And that's okay, but now we're making it better because it's opening up everyone, not I mean, maybe not everyone can join, but like it's we're trying to emulate the American population with the population in the military. And I think that it's great. And just, my advice for women out there is like, don't let one or two or three comments, get in your head. Who cares? Who cares what they think? Who cares? We're here. We're showing up every day. We're just as good, if not better. We ACFT, we can lift the weight, we can run, we can ruck, we can use our minds. We are so capable. It doesn't matter what other people say. They're small-minded. They're ruining it for themselves because I'm not going to want to work with them, if that makes sense. Like females aren't going to want to work with those people. So it's really hindering their ability to open their world up to like what is out there and what units can actually do to their full potential when they have buy-in from every single person, every single race, every single, gender. Like that's all that we need.
I think too, if I was add, like it also depends on the people because I was just talking to somebody the other day and I was like, I went on a rotation to Korea last year. And before I went on that rotation, I was in a different company and I ended up getting switched because of, manning and all of those stuff. And I went to a different company and actually like I'm in a cavalry unit, so
Mhm.
it's like that first like company I was in, it was very very hardcore, very like hoo-ah and all of that. The next company that I'm in is the same thing like that, but they encourage females to like get after it. And they had a before we went on holiday block leave, we had a 12-mile run. And I just saw how, the encouragement of the male leadership and you can do this, you can get it done, and go for the qualifications, go for the training and all of that. And I think at times people may make it seem like you can't do it, you can't do it, and they'll tell you in the military that you can't do it. But there are those people that will tell you that you can't do it, and then there are those people who are in there who are encouraging you, telling you, yes, go for that high 600 ACFT score, go rock 12 miles, let's run in the snow, let's run in the rain. And I think once you like look past, those negative comments, because there's always going to be people in any different, field, regardless of the military, regardless of anywhere you go, even in the civilian world, there's always going to be people who may feel like you can't do something because you're a female. But once you get to look past that, it's like you get to like build your community of people who are like, yes, let's do this together. You need to train, I'll help you in the gym. Let me show you like, what you can do to lift better. I had a very hard time deadlifting, and it was so wonderful. It was a wonderful moment for me because my first sergeant at the time actually was helping me with my technique to deadlift. And it was just like, those are the things that I'm like trying to tell people, like, they will encourage you because they want you to be better. For me, I would tell people, like, don't let, negative comments stop you. Don't ever do that. Go for what you want. What advice would you give a woman striving to succeed and lead in this male dominated, army?
I think just going off of your point, for every negative comment, there is someone that will be at the finish line screaming loud so you do not hear that comment. For every naysayer, there is a platoon of people that want you to succeed. That doesn't care what you look like, doesn't care that you're a woman, doesn't care that you're a male, doesn't care. They care that you're a soldier and you're showing up every single day just to get 1% better. With with
Mhm.
with every one comment, there are 12 people that will scream so loud that you don't even hear anyone utter anything negative. And I think like I have also fallen in this trap of like, okay, they're gonna think that I'm not good enough because I'm a woman. Like just showing up and just not caring and being like, hey, they're gonna like me because I'm a soldier, because I'm a good soldier, because I'm a good person too. Like I care about the people around me, and that inevitably is gonna get so much further than being able to throw a ball far. like I,
Yes.
I guess if that makes sense.
Yes, it makes total sense. Just going based off like, being a female and, just leadership in general, did you have a mentor in the army or did you have a mentor in general to like, guide you through just this process, just being in this work field?
I did. It was actually so at West Point we have TACs who are our company commanders.
Mhm.
And so my junior and senior year TAC, who I still call pretty much on a regular basis, if not like once a week, um, definitely really helped me understand and kind of navigate like, okay, this is real now. I'm going to be a lieutenant. I'm going to be an officer. I'm going to have real like responsibilities going forward, and people are going to depend on me, and it was kind of hard for me to wrap my head around that, and he definitely grounded me and helped me kind of navigate to understanding the magnitude of what I'm about to do, and then with any problem that has kind of come up, with my response to that problem, I just kind of ping pong it off of him, and I'm just like, does this sound good? Is this professional enough? Like, should I even address this? Like, different things like that. So definitely have a mentor. It has helped me tremendously.
What qualities do you think makes a good mentor?
I think the ability to listen for sure, off the rip, just being able to listen, no judgment, and just kind of having an open door, an open ear to anything. Being a being able for that person to being their safe space, and then not judging them for what they're coming to you for. I think that's what a mentor is there for you. Is it's supposed to be kind of like an extension of a parent, at least in my mind. Like you should be able to tell your parents anything or share whatever you need like to your friend, and your mentor is just your friend that is a little bit smarter than you and has experienced a little bit more things than you. So that's what I looked for, and I thought that that was never going to happen because I had all these, you know being a female, you have different things, and my mentor is male, but he is very accepting and me being like, hey, this is an issue that I'm having, and it's great. So definitely being a good listener, no judgment, and just allowing for any open-ended, any sort of questions, conversations to happen.
So how I found you is on your platform on TikTok.
Yeah.
And just you, basically filming your journey about graduating on West Point and also being dual military.
Yes.
So I wanted to ask, how do you and your partner navigate the challenges of being in a dual military relationship, like when it comes to deployments or maybe having different duty stations?
Yeah, so we were very lucky to have the same duty station. We're both EOD, so we get to kind of understand the ins and outs of that, which I'm so thankful because it's really hard to, I don't know if you feel this, like talking to friends that aren't in the military, having to be like, okay, this is what this acronym means and this is what this means, and but having those friends and like my partner be able to talk about those things and not have to explain, just be like, oh, this is what happened. Like just being able to understand each other is great. I think what we are experiencing now that is a little bit of uncharted territories is because we are officers, we are going to be competing against each other as we go up in the ranks. So I'm excited to see how that goes. I don't think that it's going to be a huge issue with us, obviously. Like, we love each other. We want both of us to succeed and be the best that we can be. But we have been at the same place, and I'm so thankful for that.
So I kind of like love that because especially with my partner, when I first like joined the military, I joined actually before him because he had like issues with like, you know, the medical process and everything like that. Just getting everything sorted out. So when I joined, I went to basic training before him, got to my unit before him and everything, and he was a civilian a little bit for that time, and I would have to come home and I'm like, oh, well, this is what happened. And he would just look at me and he would be like, okay. And then he went to basic training and he, you know, went through the process. And now we come home and he's like, I don't even know how you did this for so long. Because it's like, if I was supposed to call my friends from college or call my best friend and be like, "Hey, I'm in Korea right now, and I don't even know what's to make of my life right now." It's just so different territory. It's so new for me. I don't really know like what I'm really doing. I wake up every day and I just go with the flow, guys. I just go with the flow. So it's so wonderful to have not only your battle buddies, but a partner who you can come home to and be like, hey, this is what I'm going through. Are you going through the same thing? Because I don't know. I don't know if I should address this. I don't know if I should like, you know, how do I process this? And I love that, you know, you use your platform to, you know, show how not only do you have a personal life, but yes, you are, you know, your own person in the military, striving to be a better you every day. Um, what strategies have you guys found most effective for balancing your careers with maintaining a strong relationship?
I think a huge thing for us is making time for each other, making sure that we put time in to not talk about work also, like just talk about us and the things that we want to do. We really enjoy going and playing volleyball together. He's actually there right now. So we play volleyball together. We have a dog together, so we like to take her out as much as possible. But I think with military relationships, it's really easy to bring work home with you
Yes.
and talk about work and then go to bed and then go to work and then come home and talk about work. And I think for a little bit, we kind of fell into that routine because it's so easy to fall into that when you have someone there that knows exactly what's going on and can understand what you're saying and stuff like that. It took us a second, like, okay, maybe we give us 45 minutes to sit and talk about work, and then it's just about us and the relationship and us as people and not as lieutenants in the army.
Yes. How do you prioritize your mental health while balancing military life?
So that is a big one, actually. I I do go to behavioral health. And I just make sure that I never miss my appointment, no matter what. Like, that I will always prioritize being able to talk to someone that knows what I'm going through and that can help me. And I don't think any amount of work, any amount of person coming to visit the unit should get in the way of that. That is my number one. And that's also number one for all of my soldiers. Like, if you need to go get help, go get help. I've found that journaling really helps me, taking the 15 minutes before I go to bed, journaling, writing down things in my day, making sure that I check in with myself and understand when I'm feeling off And also, going back to my partner, being so honest about the things that I'm going through and the things that I feel and different things like that. I feel like in my prior relationships, I was never honest. I always wanted to be this bubbly person that has all this, like charisma and all this stuff. But like on the inside, I didn't really feel that amazing. And so this was the first relationship where I could be honest about those things. And I just take very strict steps in, journaling, going to my appointments, having conversations with my partner, and just making sure that I am okay so that I can put my best foot forward when I go into work for my soldiers and to just do the best job that I can possibly do.
I love that. I love like you're so for behavioral health. I don't go to behavioral health, but I go to a thing called, it's another resource that the military has. It's called Military Family Life Counseling, MFLAC. And I didn't go to it like I didn't go to it my first because I've only been in the military 2 years. I didn't go to it 2023. But 2024, I mean 2024, yes, 2024 when I went to Korea. Oh, while I was there, I set my appointment. I was like, yeah, I need to like definitely talk to
Off to
someone.
be
I was away from family, and I'm an only child, so I was away from family for the first time. I was in a whole different country. I was like, oh no, this is it. And then the lifestyle of the workplace changed as well because just being on a rotation, it's not really a deployment. But it's like you're kind of like in that mindset in a sense. They make you feel like that, especially because I was um in Camp Hovey, so we were really close to North Korea. So they were like, they always made you feel like, anything can happen, always be on your guards, training was always like that. So it's like a different form of life. I felt like a little bit, I didn't have a lot of personal downtime. And especially since, sometimes when you're in the regular army, you get your 9 to 5, sometimes you have your training for like 2 or 3 weeks. You come home, the weekends are yours, 6 to like until you go to PT is yours. Oh no. We was getting calls at like 19, 2100. We had to do things, and I was just like, "Oh my God, what did I do?" And I went to the counseling and the therapy sessions. I was like, "Yeah, every week." I'm like, I just need that 1 hour, and then I could come back to you guys and then do what I need to do. But it's such a good resource, and I hate the persona and I hate the mindset that people have on therapy, especially in the military, like, oh, if go to behavioral health, you might be classified as weak if you talk to someone, or, if you go to therapy, like, you're not managing. What have you done to want therapy in the military? Like, oh, you haven't even been to a deployment, or you haven't even seen real stuff. But you never know how people, deal with things differently. And I love to like advocate and be like, yeah, go get you someone to talk to because family, they're always there. And of course, you love them. And of course, they're there for you, but they might not understand what is it that you might be going through. And it's just so important to have that time. And I love that you as an officer offer that to your soldiers. What do you think is the biggest challenge faced by service members in this time?
I think buy-in is definitely the hardest and biggest challenge that service members go through. I think that we are coming off of a time where people didn't feel cared for. People haven't felt haven't felt seen. They've just kind of felt like another number. Um, and just kind of clocking in every day and then going home and not having a passion for what they're doing or and I think that with that comes the challenge and the job of the officer, in the room, in the unit, to kind of drive that, to make people know, like, you are very important every single day. Like, we need you here. We need you at your best. And that goes back to the mental health thing is like, you are seen, you are heard, you matter. How you're performing matters. Also, how you're feeling matters. So I think like a big thing is buy-in and feeling like the people around me care about me and they would be upset if I wasn't here, or they care that I'm sick, or they care, that I'm not feeling great today. At least that's me personally, what I feel like is the one of the biggest challenges today is understanding that like you do matter. Even, privates, like not saying that they're any less or anything like that. Like everyone matters. And when we can get that across to every single service member, buy-in, I think will go through the roof.
I love that. Can you share a time you faced like a challenge or adversity in your military career and how you handle it? Or a time maybe you saw someone, face the challenge and how you helped them, overcome it with your experience and your knowledge?
Yeah, I think that being at the academy and being near a bunch of like-minded people and very type A people, I um, have felt at times like I'm not good enough. Like I'm not putting in the same hours that they are, or that he is, or that she is. Like I can't devote this amount of time to this project, but I can still do my best. So I think like the biggest thing for me was not judging myself off of the work of others and like what other people can do, and just kind of focusing in on me. And I think that was like a huge hurdle I had to get over, in knowing that, I am my own person, and I just need to be my own person. And I need to not, put a bunch of hurdles in front of me that are going to hurt me in the long run, where there's already hurdles in the army that are already put up there and I'm going to have to get over them. So adding a couple more in there for myself, like, is just going to hurt me and no one else but me.
I love that. How do you approach like career advancement? Like, on the enlisted side, it's very different. We have, points and all of that and things that we have to do. Um, going to the board and everything like that. How do you approach your career, opportunities, especially with you coming from West Point and, just being a female? How do you approach that?
So I actually just sat down with my battalion commander about progression, was something that we talked about. And I just had to be completely honest and say, like, I cannot be motivated by progressing my career. I don't want to be motivated. Obviously, with the officers side, we get judged on OERs. That's kind of
Mhm.
the system that we use. And then there is like a most preferred option. And if you don't have two or three most preferreds, you're not really going to get over major or anything like that. Like we're almost always guaranteed captain. Um, but once you get into the captain roles, that's when the most preferred, all that stuff kind of most preferred, not preferred kind of comes into it. And so everyone is chasing this most preferred, like everyone's chasing that. And I just kind of said, like, I am not going to be the person that is just going to do enough to get that most preferred. Like, I'm not going to cap myself at that. And I want you to give it to me because you want to give it to me based on my work ethic, based on the things that you see me doing every day, or the things that you see me doing during our quarterly counselings, that I get to, tell you about, because everyone just you advocate for yourself. So I think that it's super easy for officers and, all service members to get really honed in on, like, okay, I need to get this point. I need to make sure that they're seeing me do this. And
Yes.
they know that I'm doing, 8 extra hours every day to organize this system or whatever. I can't live like that, because I'll be an anxious wreck. Like, oh, they didn't really like it, or oh, like it didn't come across right. Like, I just kind of want to be myself. And if it comes, it comes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And that's just kind of how I have to look at the whole career progression because it is a daunting thing to think about.
I think that with me being a police officer and me being human resources and like seeing like people like, with higher leadership, especially officers getting like ranked up and everything, it's like from a different point of view, being on the enlisted side and seeing that like I feel like you guys have a tough life. Like you guys don't go home. I see like sometimes I'm like, you're still here. And I'm like, oh, sometimes I be talking to my OIC and I'm like, sir, it's kind of late. Don't you want to go home? And then the amount of things that you guys have to do and the, responsibility and it's just I feel like a lot of times, especially when it comes to like, second lieutenants and first lieutenants, you guys don't get enough credit for the amount of things that you do. I've seen like, a lot of like officers organize events that takes days, weeks, months, and they're like putting like majors are like saying, hey, this is the deadline. Whatever you got to do to get it done, get it done. And I honestly think that sometimes you guys are highlighted. You guys aren't highlighted enough for all that you do because even when you guys have soldiers, like I rely on my OIC for everything. I'm like, sir, um, this is what we need to get done. This is what they said they need to get done, and I don't think this is possible. He's like, well, we just got to get it done. What advice would you give service members looking to do 20 years? Like, do you plan on doing 20 years? Do you plan on making this like a whole, shebang, a whole career?
I think a lot of people, especially at my school, were like, yes, I'm going to do 20. I'm a lifer. Let's go, all this stuff. I really didn't know what I was getting into. And I feel like I still don't really know what I'm getting into. So I don't want to say yes or no because I want to give myself the ability to understand what I'm getting into. And then if I really love it, if I love what I'm doing, yes, I'm going to do the 20. Like I have no issues with saying like, yes, I will do it if I love it. I just don't really know exactly what I'm getting into, day after day, different ranks and different, jobs and stuff like that. But I definitely think my advice for someone that wants to do 20 years is to slow down. Like, don't, at least taking this into a different thing, I found that at the academy, people wanted to go to the academy their entire life. That was their thing that they wanted. And when they got there, they had an identity crisis because they had fulfilled their life goal of going to the academy at 18 years old. And now it's like, okay, what's my goal now? And I feel like when you kind of put yourself in the box like I'm going to do 20, it's really hard because your goal is just so out there that you need to have like smaller goals and other goals to kind of go with that, if that makes sense.
That makes sense because every day, I hear like people be like, "Yeah, I'm gonna do 20 years. I'm gonna do 20 years." And I'm like, I'm only 23. I don't know what I'm gonna eat for tomorrow. I can't
Exactly.
tell you. I'm just going day by day, and if I like it, and if my time for my window opens wherever I am in life, I'll let you guys know. But I want to give myself options. I feel like what a lot of people don't do is give themselves options and room, to be like, okay, if you necessarily don't like this, what are you going to do after? And I think a lot of people end up getting to that point where, okay, my contract is about to finish. Hmm, okay, I don't see myself going to the next contract. Well, what am I going to really do if I don't sign up? Or if I don't re-enlist again? Like, who am I going to be and where am I going to go? And it's like, that's like what a lot of us don't do is give ourselves options like, I'm going to school, I want to, dive deeper into different hobbies and stuff like that. So it's like, just giving yourself, options like besides the military, I feel like it's a very key thing because you might make this your whole entire life. And then when you actually do 20 years, what are you going to do after? And a
Yep.
lot of people can't sit at home, so you're going to end up doing what you probably didn't want to do. But I have one final question to like close us off. If you could give one piece of advice to someone starting their military journey, what would it be?
Don't, I mean, as cliche as this sounds, don't give up. Like, keep going. You're doing it for a reason. Never lose sight of that. If you have to plaster it on your wall of why you joined, why you're getting up every day, do it. But don't give up. Things are going to get hard. Things are going to suck, and you're just going to have to embrace it. You're going to sleep on the ground, and it's going to be pouring rain, and you're going to be wet, and it's going to be not great. But then you're going to meet the best people in your life, and you're going to experience the best things in your life, and you're going to do things you never thought that you could do, and you're going to like prove to yourself that you are this strong, I don't know if I can cuss, badass person. Sorry. um
That's fine, you can.
just never give up on yourself, on your people, and on your surroundings.
I love that. I really hope that you continue your like content journey and content creator journey. I know there's this whole thing about like TikTok being banned, but I know like, people don't really like the other platforms, but there's so many different other platforms. And I hope you continue your journey because you definitely inspired me to like, start my journey and start, giving back to like people who look like me and just wanting to be in this field and wanting to do something different with their life and wanting to make changes in any way they can. And I just really like, love that this is what you're doing for yourself and just giving a different point of view about, you going to West Point and how your journey and just you becoming like, the badass person that you are now because you didn't give up. And I
Thank
just love that. And I want to thank you for coming onto the podcast because I know, a lot of people are like skeptical sometimes and, everything like that. But I want to say thank you for coming onto the podcast. And, I hope, you continue your journey, especially, we don't know what it has to offer with this TikTok, but Instagram, YouTube, or anything like that. But yes, and I hope the viewers love today's podcast. And please come back for more upcoming podcasts of Transition and Trials.
you so much.
So I'm gonna let me just stop.